Hey guys, welcome to MuseThemes.com. This is Ashton Bingham. Today we're going to go over a variety of different ways that you can embed contact forms into our Pop-ups Pro widget. Now, I'm looking at our live demo here for Pop-ups Pro, and we can see a very simple email submission form, and that's just using a regular Muse contact form widget. However, many of you may want to use third-party forms from platforms like Constant Contact, MailChimp, and that's all totally doable and easy to incorporate into our widget. So let's open Muse, and I'm just going to dive right in, and we're going to explore a handful of the most common platforms and walk through how to incorporate embedded forms into this widget. And as you can see, I'm working with the project file for our live demo for the widget. Now, if you haven't yet watched the tutorial for Pop-ups Pro, I highly recommend you check that out first. But for those of you that have, you know that this widget operates with the use of a state button that you build yourself, and it's linked to the widget itself via a graphic style. And as I mentioned, this state button currently has a Muse contact form placed inside, which you can click into and you can expand the settings panel to make all the changes that you want. But let's say that I don't want this. I'm going to start with Constant Contact. So the first thing we need to do is visit the Constant Contact website. And just as an overall note before we get started, there are literally dozens of email subscribe services out there, and they all range in price based on the email, limit size, how many contacts you actually have, styling options, feature options, and many other factors. But most of them do have a free option to get you started. So here in Constant Contact, if you don't have an account yet, you're going to need to create one. So I'll just type my email address, ashton@MuseThemes.com. Type my name. And an organization, I'll just put MT for now. And my phone number. And we'll agree to the terms and then click Get Started. Okay, great. So now there's a bunch of other things here to fill out that's going to complete your profile, but I'm not going to get into that right now. What we want to do is go up here to List Growth Tools. Now this one's cool because it gives you a couple of pre-made forms that you can use if you want, but for the sake of the tutorial, let's click up here to create a sign-up form. And in just 3 steps here, we can create a form completely from scratch. So we need a form name. So I'll just put My Awesome Form. Form title. Now this is what's going to show up on your actual web page for users. They already pre-filled it here with sign up to stay in touch, which works for me. And a description. This is also going to be shown on the website. So we'll put lots of updates coming. Stay tuned. Now for email lists. This is a new account here in Constant Contact, so I don't have any made. But inside your account, you have a ton of options. You can create many different lists, and you can pretty much organize your contacts however you want. But for now, I'll just select General Interest, as that's the one created by default. And we'll click Continue. Now here is where you choose what fields that you want filled out. Now, in keeping with our demo, for now, I'm just going to leave email address, but you could also add first name here or click additional fields and add even more. But we'll go ahead and click Continue. And lastly, here you have the option to upload a logo if you choose, and you can customize the text and background colors here as well, which is pretty cool. You can also click here for Preview Form to see what it looks like so far. And I think that's already looking pretty cool. So to save time, let's just go ahead and click Finish. And here it just gives you some info, but we can just click Got It. And there we go. On our dashboard here, we now see My Awesome Form created. And now all we have to do is grab the Embed Code. And you can do that by clicking this drop down next to Actions and selecting Embed Code. And here we go. Now all we have to do is select this entire code. And then we can go ahead and hit Command-C on the keyboard to copy or Control-C on PC. And now we're ready to jump back into Muse. So on my page here, there are 2 ways to incorporate an embed code. You can either go up to Object on your very top menu and select Insert HTML, or you could just simply hit Command-V while on your page to paste and it will be added automatically. But either way, I'm going to paste this code into our new box. And we'll click OK. Okay, cool. Now, sometimes these things can look a little funky when viewing them on the Muse canvas, but that's very common. It's just Muse trying to interpret the HTML, but you do need a browser to see its full appearance and functionality. But if I go ahead and move this down out of the way here, we can already preview this page in the browser to see our form working on our page. Great. Our pop-in comes in, of course, but we now have a nice-looking, fully functional contact form placed here on our page, which is awesome. So now let's incorporate it into our pop-up. So back in Muse, as you know, our pop-up operates with a state button, as has been created here. So what we need to do is first remove the old form that we don't need. So I'll click all the way inside of our state button until I have the form selected, and we'll delete. And now we can go and select our HTML object. You can just click and drag, and we'll drag it all the way directly over top of our state button and release the mouse. And there we go. You can see that the state button kind of automatically adjusts itself and increased its size to make room for it. So now if you click the state button as a whole and you move it around, everything should be moving as one cohesive unit. But before we move on, we've got to get this sized up properly. So first, I'm going to make sure that the responsive setting of my form is set to none. As explained in the Pop-ups Pro tutorial, the pop-ups themselves, they can of course be customized for each breakpoint, but you do need to keep the responsive motion set to none. So I'm going to increase the height of my state button a little more so that we have a little bit more room to work with. And then I can grab this text box that's sitting behind, because that's serving as our custom close button, as you can set up in the Pop-ups Pro widget. And I'll just place that at the bottom of our pop-up. And now let's just center our form inside the button. And there, that's it. Now we can give it a browser preview. And voila, we have a functioning pop-up with a custom created contact form embedded from the Constant Contact website. That's pretty sweet and very simple to set up. So now let's check out a new platform. I'm going to go over to the MailChimp website and we'll take a look at how to set that up. Now to save some time, I'm not going to go through the entire sign-up process for each one of these platforms, but I think you get the idea. I've already created an account on MailChimp, so I'm just going to click Login. Get the credentials in here. And there we go. So once I'm logged in, that'll take me to our dashboard. And so now what we want to do is click over to Lists. Now on this platform, there's one list created by default, but you can of course customize that and you can build it up in here with all your different contacts. But for my list here, the one that's created, we're going to go to this drop-down arrow here on the far right, and we're going to select Sign Up Forms. And then we're going to select this second option for Embedded Forms. And here we go. There are several tabs up here that you can select various styles of forms here on MailChimp. We have a classic one, a slim one, etc. And you can even go over to advanced over here if you're familiar with CSS and want to style your own. For now, I'm going to select super slim because I think it'll fit really well inside of a pop-up. And when you do that, the code is already generated, so all you have to do is select it, copy it, and we'll head back into Muse. And like I mentioned before, you don't actually have to go to the top toolbar to add in an embedded HTML code. You can literally just hit Command V while sitting here on your page, and that will paste the code into an object. And then we're good to go. So let's go back to this pop-up. We're going to delete this old form, and I'm going to grab this new one and slide it on over top of the state button. Great. And now I'm going to shrink the state button since this one's much smaller. And again, making sure it's set with a responsive behavior of none. And once we have this all ready to go, we will give it another browser preview. And there. This one's much smaller, but again, still functioning wonderfully and lots of options to pick from in the MailChimp dashboard, so it's pretty awesome. So now there's one more thing that I want to try. In Muse, I'm going to click over to another version of this widget on our demo using the click example instead of the automatic pop-up. And now I'm going to go to the Woofu website so we can create a full form with more fields. And we'll log in. Now we can click New Form. And here is where you can design your form. Wufoo's got this pretty awesome portal here where you can literally build it field by field, change the order, change the coloring, and you can make it as big or as small as you want. And as I mentioned before, every single one of these providers has varying pricing options, but especially with Wufoo here, even with a free account, you can create a pretty interactive and complex form on your site. There's also different themes that you can apply and all kinds of good stuff here. So let's just add a few fields. I'm going to click Name, Email, Phone Number, and we'll do a single line of text in case they want to leave a message. Perfect. And we can click this header up here to change our title and stuff. We'll go ahead and put Muse Themes, and for our message, stay informed about all the latest updates. Cool. So as soon as I'm done, I can go down here and click Save Form. And then we can select Share this form. And there we go. That'll bring us right to our embed code ready to go. So again, we'll click Copy Code, head back into Muse, and hit Command V to paste. Perfect. So now let me slide my screen over a little bit so I can work with the pop-up that we have built on this one. Again, I'm going to delete the old form, and we can get rid of this verbiage too, because we now have a header on our new form. And we'll drag the form right over top of the state button. And there we go. Our state button, again, adjusts its size. However, I'm going to give it even more of a height increase, just so everything's not so cramped. And we can adjust this photo as well. We'll move our cancel button to the bottom and give the form a little bit more width. And of course, making sure that it's set to none in the responsive menu. Perfect. Now let's give it a preview. Okay, cool. And again, this is not an automatic pop-up. This one was set up to work with a click. So I'll go over here and click Redeem Offer. And beautiful. It slides in nicely from the side, which of course you can customize in the Pop-ups Pro settings panel if you choose. So thanks again, guys, for watching. I do hope this is helpful. And if you have any other questions or run into any snags, please don't hesitate to let us know in support. Cheers.